Welcome back to Dinar Trend Tracker channel. As news breaks from a variety of internet commentators and sources, we are taking a look at a major turn in the storyline surrounding the Iraqi dinar. The core premise of these stories is that a procedure called Tier 1 payments has now been initiated. There has been a lot of talk about this particular vocabulary, which may indicate a change from strategic planning to an operational phase. These accounts propose that activating this top tier, which stands for the world's most elite financial institutions, is a crucial first step. To put these claims in context, the material that has been circulating indicates that this is not a small update but rather the purported beginning of a complicated, systematic sequence that has been speculated about for years. In these talks, defining what Tier 1 means is essential. The global financial system is typically depicted by observers as having numerous tiers or layers for liquidity distribution in its framework. The highest level of this system is always designated as Tier 1. According to popular belief, it includes the most powerful financial institutions in the world, including as central banks, sovereign government-linked accounts, and the elite financial institutions that support the IMF. Consequently, when it is said that this tier has gone live, it means that the claimed network's basic base has started processing transactions. The idea of a tiered rollout is crucial to this continuing story, as it signals an interaction at the primary source. After the first floor, the building purportedly goes downhill. Institutional and humanitarian accounts on a grand scale are commonly thought of as belonging to Tier 2. The third tier is supposedly associated with different trusts and organized groups. Lastly, private investors and individual currency holders are considered to join the picture at Tier 4, which is frequently divided into A and B. Tier 1 activation is considered as the prerequisite for all subsequent tiers within Tier 4B, which is why the current reports are significant in this regard. The process is typically likened to starting a large engine. Before power can be sent to the other parts, the process must start at the top. There is more than just theory to these recent revelations. They assert that real progress is being made. According to the story, certain institutional accounts linked to the top tier have been authenticated, funded, and are now in a preparation phase for the transfer of liquidity to a wider audience. This goes beyond just making notifications, as these sources claim it means that transactions are being executed actively. Mainly, this assertion is based on the fact that real money is currently moving at the top levels of the financial sector, which is seen as the first concrete evidence that the much-delayed process has commenced. The first domino in a chain reaction is this purported shift. If reports of Tier 1's activation are true, then this signals a major turning point, according to those following the story. The mechanism is said to be part of an irreversible sequence once it is engaged. This school of thought states that the momentum starts to build as liquidity moves through the first layer, and that each succeeding tier is activated in the order in which it was allocated. This suggests that the financial system's core mechanisms are purportedly shifting, even though these changes might not be apparent at the level of individual consumer banks. The current flurry of studies centers on this difference between the public-facing financial world and the institutional world that operates behind the scenes. These reports emphasize that the groundbreaking work linking these worldwide financial claims to Iraq is currently underway. The reports provide an overview of the recent actions taken by the Iraqi Central Bank. A much-publicized effort to update the CBI's banking and finance systems has been underway for the better part of a year. As part of this effort, we have enhanced our monetary policy frameworks, tested out new digital banking technologies, and pushed hard for further integration with global financial systems and compliance standards. Many consider these officially acknowledged initiatives by Iraqi officials as crucial foundational measures. Any major shift in Iraq's currency's value on the world stage must first accompany the upgrading of the country's internal financial infrastructure. Reports on Iraqi modernization include the testing of electronic payment systems under the digital dinar network as a specific detail. Reportedly, directives were provided to commercial banks within Iraq to prepare for these tests. Outside sources have reported Tier 1 activation, and now observers are drawing connections between these activities inside Iraq and those claims. The claim is that these updates weren't made at random but rather in preparation for a reevaluation of Iraq's systems. Some have speculated that the apparent coincidence of the two occurrences is evidence of a coordinated effort by the global financial mechanism and Iraq's internal changes. New details are supposedly emerging from Baghdad's financial professionals, which further complicates the story. According to these reports, a new accounting model is being used to readjust the government's salary structures. The new system supposedly has placeholders for rate modifications, which is the most important feature in this allegation. This has prompted many to believe that the government and administrative systems are covertly preparing for a different currency's worth. Some have stated that this kind of feature would only be required if some kind of modification was being planned in the background. This in-house planning is considered as critical proof that a change is being actively planned for when this data comes from within. Iraq is positioned next to the assertions of the worldwide Tier 1 activation. There is a more distinct image, according to observers. It is currently argued that the framework for a major change in the financial system is in place. It would appear that the activation of the highest-level global liquidity layers is occurring in tandem with Iraq's digital infrastructure, government payment systems, and banks. The argument put forth is that the launch of global Tier 1 liquidity could not take place unless the economic heart of Iraq was determined to be ready to function under the revised monetary values. These changes occurring at the same time is seen as a strong sign of a coordinated and deliberate process. In every one of these conversations, the issue of timing is central. Activating Tier 1 and then the subsequent flow of liquidity down to the other layers is typically anticipated to occur at different times in similar theoretical models. This pause, which permits stability at each stage, could last anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. The timescale might be shortened, though, according to numerous experts who have been keeping tabs on this. An increase in global pressure is mentioned as the cause for this possible quickening. The United States and the International Monetary Fund are two organizations that appear regularly in reports. Internal pressure from the Treasury indicates that they have been pressuring Iraq to finish its currency changes by a certain date. This, together with Iraq's declared economic objectives, makes a speedier implementation seem more likely. Tier 2 might be activated just days after Tier 1 is finished, according to the narrative, if the existing sequence maintains. After that, group exchanges in Tier 3 would launch, and then, at long last, private investors and individual currency holders would be able to enter Tier 4B. The basic premise is that momentum is intended to be built rapidly once liquidity begins to flow. Following the established procedure step by step, building up to the last public-facing stage of the operation. The possible exchange rate is an inevitable byproduct of these talks. There has been no official announcement of a public rate by any regulating agency, therefore this area is still very hypothetical. Nonetheless, various internal testing models are allegedly employing a range of values, according to the latest reports. The most often mentioned amounts in these unconfirmed rumors range from $1.66 to $1.3.90. These are supposedly internal testing values circulating throughout the Tier 1 networks. They are not public data. Those who adhere to these assertions place more stock in the fact that such testing is taking place than in the precise figures themselves. Reportedly, even in a test setting, Iraqi systems are computing transactions inside this revaluation framework, which is seen as a significant development. As a result, it appears that within these institutional circles, the question of when has replaced if. The story goes on to say that the upper-end figures in these testing models could not be so far-fetched if Iraq keeps strengthening its economy through regular oil sales, increasing gold reserves, and new foreign trade deals. This section is still the most conjectural because it depends on future economic performance and unverified internal data. Observers are also drawing attention to the actions of large international banks in tandem with these Tier 1 assertions. Allegedly, major banks like HSBC and Chase Wells Fargo have been quietly updating their foreign exchange systems with new technical features. Iraqi dinars and Vietnamese dongs, among others, have apparently had temporary under-review notices displayed next to them by some employees and consumers. Although these may be ordinary repairs, the timing is under investigation. These findings are often accompanied by assertions made in internal bank memoranda, bringing up the fact that there will be a brief outage for the Forex platforms, particularly for the Duetto system. Nobody thinks these purported banking upgrades happened by chance. People are taking them as a hint that something big is about to happen. A hypothesis is developed when this reported behavior from commercial banks is linked to the news of Tier 1 activation. Financial institutions are making changes to their systems in order to be in sync. There has been renewed optimism that the timing is in sync with other data sources due to the covert activation of the new financial architecture. This synchronization of liquidity with technical upgrades at the level of consumer banks. For a system-wide picture, changes at the central bank level are seen as a strong indication. Here we reach a critical technical step, preparation. Tier 1 activation signifies that the infrastructure is fully operational and ready to go. A successful synchronization of the intricate digital systems linking different payment networks, international clearing houses, and central banks is shown by this. The technology that supposedly allows for the global movement of large sums of money has supposedly been turned on for this specific period, to put it more simply. This is why those who use the term Tier 1 Live think it's so powerful. This is designed to indicate that the system has successfully completed all of its tests and is presently operating as expected. Several essential parts make up status. It means that the new parameters are allowing for successful cross-border payment verifications. It indicates that these new transactions are being recorded via the digital audit trails that are essential for transparency and compliance. Additionally, it shows that the worldwide communication procedures amongst different financial authorities are operational and consistent. A currency revaluation or other large-scale liquidity event would not be possible without these procedures. The massive engine, to use a popular metaphor, has been warmed up. We have tested every part. Additionally, the first gear is now engaged. Another aspect of this financial narrative is the idea that the political climate in Iraq is in line with it. People are paying great attention to Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Public Sudani's remarks as of late. He has stated that, in the jargon of international finance and diplomacy, Iraq is moving toward economic independence, with the restoration of the value of the national currency as the eventual objective. Words like these are picked with care. They are seen as an indication that Iraq is getting ready to show the world its newfound financial might. In addition to these proclamations of economic independence, the Prime Minister has also addressed continuing cooperation with neighboring countries and the U.S., marking a departure from previous systems and sanctions. Current collaboration is presented as an effort to guarantee a seamless transition during current economic upheaval. Many also take this as a strong indication. To ensure any re-evaluation takes place in a controlled manner, it proposes collaboration at the highest global levels, in a steady and unobtrusive way. According to analysts, the present rumors of a Tier 1 rollout for individuals holding dinar are a great match with these public pronouncements from high leadership, which are almost never accidental and often timed to coincide with substantial market movements. Some have taken these claims as a hint that, after much speculation, actual work may have begun. After what feels like an eternity of waiting, many are finally entering what is being dubbed the action phase, which begins with the supposedly Tier 1 activity and signals the start of liquidity flow. The word on the street in these neighborhoods is to keep your money in a secure location. According to these individuals, now is also the time to start planning for a possible swap, including figuring out which institutions to believe and how to be vigilant for official verifiable information, separate from internet conjecture. Commentators have characterized this new phase as requiring heightened awareness and patience. Prior to the value trickling down to the public, the initial waves of liquidity in this model aim to stabilize the entire system at the top. Stay cool and stay informed, because that is the dominant message. Assuming Tier 1's rollout goes off without a hitch, Tier 2 could follow shortly after. The huge institutional and humanitarian accounts would receive funds as a result of this. Notifications for distribution could be sent to Tier 3 organizations, which supposedly include organized currency holders and huge trusts, shortly after these initial tiers are completed. Tier 4B, which comprises private investors, would thereafter be reached in the sequence. It is at this stage that scheduling windows may open or public notifications may go out. Based on what is said, the new Iraqi dinar rate might become public knowledge in a few weeks, rather than months, if the deployment stays on track and doesn't encounter any big delays. Every step of the process moves the needle closer to the public exchange phase, and it is always described as a sequence rather than an event. According to proponents of this method, it will guarantee stability and forestall financial shocks. The market's initial reactions are also being closely monitored for any indications of change. Oil futures in the Middle East have reportedly seen small increases, which is commonly seen as an indication of increasing financial confidence in the region. Additionally, there has been talk of increased activity in the banking sectors of several Gulf stock markets, including those in the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Kuwait. These shifts could indicate that major investors are betting on higher regional currency values, which could be related to Iraq's economic growth and the prospect of a globally valued dinar. More than just a re-evaluation of Iraq is implied by this purported occurrence. Some have even compared it to a larger financial rebalancing effort. Cleaner, faster, and more transparent financial flows are being touted as the world's future due to the expansion of digital banking networks and the modernization of cross-border payment systems. As a logical and essential next step, Iraq's involvement in this transition is portrayed. Rebuilding after years of sanctions, the nation is once again a major role in Middle Eastern oil and trade. Anchoring this expansion and encouraging major foreign investment would be a robust and internationally recognized dinar. Thus, revaluation in this setting is about more than just investors. It's about bringing a whole nation into the contemporary economic system and making it stable. Everyday individuals keeping tabs on these changes should do well to keep their feet firmly planted on the ground while remaining vigilant. Despite the fact that it is still early on, the indications are reportedly more pronounced than before. Despite reports that Tier 1 has started, large-scale financial transformations do not occur immediately. Before the public can see anything good happening, there will be times of calm, system checks, and international cooperation. These reports indicate that this time around, the foundation seems to be firm. Online services are supposedly up and running. It has been reported that liquidity has begun to shift at the top, and there has been a global alignment of institutional upgrades. The reports indicate a planned and organized movement, differentiating it from previous assumptions. The astute onlookers among us are now concentrating on getting ready, not freaking out. It is believed that the process has begun, and that piece of information is being considered a significant milestone in and of itself. Claims indicate that the global financial system has approved the transfer of liquidity through a newly established digital framework, which we will cover in today's report. This one assertion, the activation of Tier 1 payments, remains the focal point of the messaging. Do not dismiss this as a mere headline. Many see it as a crucial signal. This would indicate that the financial system is shifting gears from planning to execution. It seems like this period is an ideal match for Iraq's political will, economic growth, and established digital readiness. From here on out, the steps should unfold through the tiers. We will keep an eye on these reports and keep you updated on any further developments as they are debated. Dinar Daily appreciates you taking the time to join us.